Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 245 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we're talking about one of the... I feel like we say this every week, but it's one of the most anticipated movies of 2022. And that is Damien Leone's Terrifier 2. One we've been waiting for a while.
A long while, because this one, we knew about this pretty much from the time we first went to New Jersey Horror Con. We knew a sequel was coming.
Yeah, we actually might have been there for some of the planning of this, for all we know. I don't know if we paid attention to all of it, but I definitely think that's where Chris Jericho got his role.
Yeah,
was from that meeting we kind of crashed.
So so this is a big one. This is probably going to be an episode that's a little on the shorter side tonight. As you guys are hearing this, you probably heard our bonus interview last week with Daniel Krause, which was fantastic. We got more interviews lined up, so you're going to have some bonus episodes in there. So if this one is a little short, please forgive us. We're going to have plenty of content coming up. But it just may be split around a little bit differently than you're used to.
Yeah.
Not much here, but let's get right into our first chop. All right, so Brian, I really didn't have a whole lot. It's kind of funny. Like, the horror challenge takes a lot out of you. Because you watch so many horror movies in October that I kind of feel sometimes, even though I get really into the spirit of it during the month, I feel like I have to take a little bit of a breather after it. So I tend to watch a lot of non-horror for a little bit, maybe some Christmas movies as we get a little closer to the holidays, and I don't know, I find myself kind of weaning myself off of at least movie horror. I'm still watching a lot of TV horror because I'm trying to catch up on a lot of series, and that's what I've been doing this week. Been watching Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix, which is just incredible.
Yeah, I gotta start watching that.
It is a really, really good anthology. This is what happens when you take, obviously, Guillermo del Toro's creative input, but you have some brilliant directors. Has to be a fairly big budget for some of these, and you put all that together, and just shows how good an anthology can be. I've enjoyed every episode of this, some more than others, but I don't think I've watched a bad one yet that I didn't enjoy. So this one is definitely really, really high on my list. If you like anthologies, check out Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. And the other one I'm a little behind on. I just started American Horror Story Season 11, but I had not watched Season 10 yet. And that one was an interesting one because it was they called it double feature. And what they did is they split the season, 6 episodes for one story, and then they just did a completely different story for the last 4 episodes. So but I really, really liked the first half, which was called Red Tide, and it was about this New England town, island town, that was, like those island towns that are deserted in winter because they live off the tourist season. And this writer goes there with his family to write screenplays, and he gets involved with a group that gives out these pills that apparently will make you super, will take any talent you have and just enhance it to the point of being world class. So he ends up taking this pill to become this brilliant screenwriter. The problem is there's a very nasty side effect to this pill, which I won't spoil in case you haven't seen the season. But it was really entertaining. Some phenomenal performances. It was, for me, I know this season has not been greatly reviewed. It's not ranked very highly in terms of American Horror Story seasons, but that first part of it I absolutely loved. I thought it was brilliant. The second part was went really bizarre. It went to a whole UFO thing where Eisenhower made a deal with the aliens, and they were trying to breed humans, and it was just way out there. Thank God they only had 4 episodes of it, because I don't think I could have handled 6 of it. That one.
That seems it seems different from all the other seasons, though. Both.
Yeah, they were different. I highly recommend that first half, those first 6 episodes I thought were just as good as anything American Horror Story's ever done. The last 4 I didn't care for at all. Maybe that's what brings the overall ranking of the season down among fans. But
Yeah.
at any rate, American Horror Story is just a brilliant series. I know you haven't watched any of them, Brian.
I know. I gotta start.
They're you would just absolutely love them once you start them. Of course, you got a lot to catch up on now.
Yeah, definitely. For that Cabinet of Curiosities, though, is that like a kind of similar to Creepshow with those kind of
Very
that kind of
much.
horror?
Yeah, very much. The one thing I'll say, I don't know that there's a common recurring theme other than that Del Toro loves his creature effects. So get ready for a lot of cool creature effects in these shorts.
Is there an actual cabinet though in there?
Well, you know what, it is cool. I will say this. He so Del Toro narrates the beginning of each episode, just like Rod Serling did for Night Gallery.
Oh, nice.
And he does have an actual cabinet of curiosities that's with him as a prop when he's doing the narration. So
okay, yeah, because I was gonna feel like if I get one more movie that show that it false advertises, I'm gonna be annoyed. At least let there be a cabinet, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I remember that. Yeah, he narrates you could tell he's a big fan of like Night Gallery and those because he really models it after that. So definitely check that one out. That's really good. But that's all. That's all I really had. You know, I'm trying to catch up on shows here and there. I'm catching up on reading here and there. But as we get closer into further distance away from the horror movie challenge, my horror will pick back up.
Yeah. I need to start back up with my Amityville project because actually now the one that was, because every time it's so funny with the thing that stalls that project the most is that when like I reach an Amityville movie that I can't have access to, and if you start seeing some of the later ones, you know that they're really not worth paying for. So, but finally, Tubi came through once again, and Amityville Harvest was where I had to stop at. Is now that's the Sadie Katz one. That one is now on Tubi, so I can start back up again. And of course, though, the funny thing is every time I wait like a couple of months in between, like 7 new ones get added that I have to add in there. There's even like that Christmas comedy one, which I guess I got to throw in there because it says Amityville in the title. So. They really make anything with Amityville. It's so funny. I just don't get it.
It's like it's public domain at this point.
I mean, but why? Like, it's at some level. I mean, wouldn't you like? Someone needs to like gain ownership of somehow. But how do you can't just own the town name like that. So, unfortunately, there's nothing. Someone needs to gain it and like be like maybe I should like run for like Amityville film ambassador so I can like at least like. Kind of like or get with a team and approve these projects, and I know everyone was all excited for Amityville in Space. That one I probably would have had to let go through just because, but I think like there needs to be like some. I mean, it really like. I mean, Tim, you've been to Amityville now. When you came to visit that time, so you've seen it. All these things that happen in these movies, just there's no room in the town. It's not that big.
It's too small.
I mean, and then the funniest one that we thought of, the one, a couple that we thought of, like, hasn't been done yet. That one actually would make sense in that town because, like, that one, I think the Amityville Apothecary one, I need to, like, that seems to need to be done.
That one almost writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, writes itself. And then what was the other one? We had the fishing one or something.
There was some kind of fish one, I can't remember. We had a great tagline for it. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was like, oh, God, I know. Well, we need to look back. I know Emily laughed at it when we told her, so. Yeah, we need to look back.
That was a brilliant. That one came with its own tagline.
It was something I was for God's sake, get trout. I remember that.
Yeah, God's sake, get trout. Yeah, there was another.
What was the name? Was it Amityville like seafood or something? Amityville Fish Market.
It was an actual business. I know that because we saw it.
Yeah. One of these days, you know what? I mean, for our YouTube channel, I should just go strolling through the streets of Amityville, and just like. Basically just show everyone all the town, and I guarantee you 75 movies will come out from it.
That's right. Yeah. It was a cool town though.
Actually, my new favorite thing though is about Amityville. It has Amityville in the title. Actually, it's Mike's Underground Pizza of Amityville. It's one of those like secret kitchen type places where you can only order for delivery, and you can't pick it up, and it's kind of funny because like it's very like mobile. Like you can either text them your order through the or do it through the app, and it's just like it's really like kind of like this fun experience because like the first time, and it's the funny thing because I said the same thing to Julie. I said when I met the delivery guy out in front, and he was very very like dressed well and almost like a waiter's outfit. And then when I was looking reviews after the fact, someone said, he goes, "Oh my God, I love this place." And a very fine dressed young man showed up at the to deliver my. So it's like, I don't know if that's it's just because wherever their kitchen or their secret kitchen is, where they do it, maybe it shares with it must share with some kind of restaurant. I don't know, whatever it is. But either way, it's probably my favorite pizza I've ever had on Long Island now. It's that, and I've had it twice now. So two different types of pies. I need to go. We're going with a clam pie next because that one looks too good.
Oh, that sounds good.
But
that service reminds me of there used to be this guy that fixed shoes. And my mom would take like her her heels there and stuff if they broke or whatever, and she would take her shoes there to get fixed. And then he was this little Asian man, and he ran this little shoe store or shoe repair place. And I'm telling you, every single customer after he like rang you up, he would walk you to your car and wave as you drove off.
Really,
every single customer, yeah. It was so cool.
It's a little disturbing, but sweet at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was years and years ago. It was back before you were paranoid about everything.
Let me ask you a question. If there was a shop that fixed iPhones and shoes, would you call it an apple cobbler? Sorry. It just popped into my head. That's the kind of thing when I'm on pain medication for my neck right now and I'm tired. That's what you get. Sorry.
But, we better move on. We better move on. Okay.
Yeah, let's move on to the movie before I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
You may still not know what you're talking about with this movie. This is one crazy movie. Terrifier 2, of course, just came out recently. Directed by Damien Leone, starring Lauren Rivera as Sienna, who is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, we will definitely talk about her.
David Howard Thornton, of course, as Art the Clown. Jenna Cannell as Tara Hayes. Catherine Corcoran as Dawn. Samantha Scafidi as Victoria Hayes. Kaylee Hyman as Brooke. Katie McGuire as Monica Brown. Casey Hartnett as Allie. Elliot Fulham as Jonathan. The great Felissa Rose as Miss Princip. I don't remember. I didn't catch her name in the movie. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they said her name in the movie. Really, I just know she was the
and another fantastic intro, Amelie McLean as the Little Pale Girl, which is a really super creepy addition to the whole art mythos.
Yeah, and I want to know. I mean, we might talk about this later again, but I'm wondering if like that was inspired because I mean, when Terrifier 2 was being made, I think it was early on, like when like we said earlier, like we went to New Jersey HorrorCon, and remember there was that little girl that was dressed as Art the Clown that everyone was like. And I kept seeing her in pictures at other conventions. I'm like, I wonder if that inspired, like, Damien.
I know. I thought the exact same thing when I saw her in the movie. So the synopsis here is, after being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to the timid town of Miles County, where he targets a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night. This movie there's been much made about of how long this movie is.
Yes.
I can't remember.
It's the mega slashers. Mike Flanagan said, right? I guess he said Damien Leone has created the mega slasher.
How long was this movie?
It was like 2 hours and 19 minutes.
2 hours. Yeah, I was thinking 2 hours 18, 2 hours 19. It is ridiculously long for a slasher. Yeah. And it's insanely gruesome. I mean, they're not kidding when they're talking about how gory this movie is. They're not playing around. And one thing I was thinking about when I was watching it is we've seen over the top gore. The first thought I had was the Hatchet series. Hatchet has some really over-the-top gory kills. But there's this really humorous side that kind of balances it out. So you're almost laughing at the kills because you're laughing throughout the whole movie at jokes and characters and things like that. So the kills come off as, super gory, but like in a funny way. Whereas in Terrifier 2, there's no real humor outside of, at all. Really, I mean, other than like the twisted dark humor of Art the Clown himself. So this gore doesn't have like that levity to break it up. So it actually feels like realistically gory. I don't know. If that makes sense.
I know what you mean. And it's like he does not just like just kill people. Like Jason. Okay, let's compare it to Friday the 13th, right? Or Michael, or Halloween, with very standard slasher films, right? I mean, you said Hatchet, but that for that comparison. But I'm talking about like actual regular everyday slashers. It's usually like the killer is very creative, but it's like a couple of seconds tops. You see like a cool kill, it happens, and then it's over with. In this one, I feel like every kill is drawn out for minutes on end, and it's like, which kind of makes it almost way more realistic,
Right.
to the point of, I mean, at some point you're like, okay, how is this person still alive with what just happened? Like, you figured they would have at least passed out due to pain. Like, we'll get to it, like the bedroom scene, which is the one supposedly, I was reading an article today on that was the one that was making people vomit, I guess, in the theater.
Yes.
Which, meanwhile, the funny thing is, when I was rewatching it, I was literally eating like toast with some cream cheese and strawberry jelly on it. So it's like literally I'm like sitting there eating that, like, and digesting that as I'm watching that scene to show how I have my true horror cred and I can handle gore. But yeah, no, and it's so funny because, and the people are like, you hear like people are thrown up. And when I first saw that, I was like, I wonder what scene that was. And I finally found an article that kind of went into it, that it was specifically that sequence. And that is a rough sequence. And I tell you, people give, I mean, and not to take anything away from Lauren Lavera, who is absolutely incredible in this movie, but I don't think enough people talk about Casey Hartnett, because she is really good in that role, and she does like some legwork in that sequence where she gets killed. I mean, that is a violent, long, drawn out sequence of kill, and some of it where she's screaming through it and she's moving around, and it's just like, I'm like, that really is a rough kill. And so, but and she's like, just her role itself is pretty good in it.
Yeah, everybody's super good in this one. I mean, Lauren. Yeah, everybody's gonna talk about Lauren Lavera because she's the breakout. She's the star.
Yes.
She's the final girl. And it's really like, I mean, to me, it's like a breakout role. Like, if she's not getting film offers lined up after this, I don't.
Oh, she did. She already is, she said. And it's funny because I always, immediately when they introduced her years ago, like, for this role, they said, oh, welcome, meet Lauren Lavera. She's going to be Sienna. I started following her instantly. She's got a really good social media presence. She does some funny TikToks. And the first thing I saw her in, of all things, was a Hallmark Christmas movie. It was something about where I was like, it was the one, the one from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, whatever that actress is, that lead actress, Nia Vardalos, I think. She was in it or something, and there was something about a restaurant, and Lauren Lavera played like this, I think she was...
Would that be A Taste of Christmas?
Yes, it was. That's exactly what that was. I couldn't remember. I knew it was like, I was going to say like Taste of Home, but that's like some kind of store near me. But Taste of Christmas. Yeah, and she played, I think, like either French or Italian. I can't remember. I had seen this 2 years ago now, but she was either French or Italian. I just know she
Italian.
She
yep, I'm looking.
Oh,
at
Italian.
It right,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the nationality that she played, but she was so good in that. And I remember she had this little beret. Oh, that should have given it. But no, that's right, because she was wearing like a little beret. That's why I think I thought she was French in it. But I guess she's Italian in it. And so she played like kind of like almost like the love interest spoiler, so to speak. But she was sweet. She like wasn't like it wasn't like a sneaky, like vindictive, like I'm gonna steal your boyfriend kind of thing. She just, I think, was innocently doing it. But that's kind of her role. But she was really good in that even. And that, long story short, I don't know how I got launched into 20 minutes on this movie, but yeah, no, but she was so good in it. That was the first thing I saw her in it, and I'm like, and she just kind of captures the screen. So I'm like, wow, she's gonna be really good if she's like the main girl in Terrifier 2. I'd love to see what she can do with that kind of a role, and she did not disappoint anyway. I mean, she was like, it's funny because there was even a line in it where she was talking about how she doesn't have that, the same characteristics as the character she was dressed up as for Halloween. And her friend goes, oh, you are her. And she goes, no, I'm not. And obviously, of course, I mean, here's spoilers alert in this movie, by the way, obviously. But, and obviously she is everything and more of that character. And there's obviously a backstory, which we hopeful will be answered in Terrifier 3, possibly 4, right? We heard there might be 2 parts to the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has like about 4 different types of like major emotions in this movie, and she hits them all perfectly, and they're all believable.
Yeah, she's very likable final girl.
Yeah.
She's smart, she's tough, but she's also, she's got that kind of innocent side to her. She's not.
Yeah.
She's tough, but she's also not like a bad girl. kind of thing. Like she's got a very sweet side, a very sensitive side to her. I mean, that's a lot to play in one embodied,
especially in a slash. That's why it was 2 hours and 19 minutes. I think they needed to get all of Lauren Lavera's
all of her angles and stuff,
her angles in there because but she really is. I think. I mean, that could have if they had a bad actress in that role, I think I think there'd be a lot of people complaining about this movie.
Yeah,
I think because you needed to have someone so strong in that role, and she really did a good job.
And we say 2 hours and 19 minutes. This movie does not feel like 2 hours and 19 minutes.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It does not drag. It's got a really good pace. Now, that's not to say, and we'll talk about when we get to the criticisms. It's not to say there's not a lot that could be cut. I think the movie is too long, not because I was bored, but just from a story perspective. I think there's a lot of opportunities to cut things without impacting the entertainment value of the story. I didn't see a place where I would cut it because I was bored in this part. I never got bored in this movie. I thought it was
right. It's never
great.
Any criticisms we say on it, and like we might as well go on the record. We both love this movie.
Yeah,
it's not like the criticisms are just criticisms. They're not like I didn't like it.
Yeah, like don't go see this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, because I recommend this movie 100%.
But it starts off. It's a little weird because you see the synopsis saying Art is resurrected by a sinister entity. I didn't feel like they really explained that very well because I was looking to see like a concrete way that Art was resurrected, and I don't know that we ever. He kind of just appears.
Yeah, it's just literally it takes place where the last one ended.
Yeah,
in the morgue with the same guy, and he's and he kind of like teased that he was back, he was alive back in the second. But and then it's you wonder, and as it goes on, like, is it the little girl that resurrects him? Because like eventually he goes in. I mean, the one thing I did not expect to do is us to see like Art the Clown do like normal like menial daily tasks, like do his laundry, which I thought was kind of funny. But it introduces the girl in that scene, and it was kind of funny the way he does it. And I love the way he's like, Damien Leone, from a guy that he tries to put like there's really not supposed to be a lot of humor in this film. But he does it a way, he has his own way of doing it. Like the fact that after he's done, you see Art the Clown mopping it up the water, of the thing, which is brilliant because he's like, here he is, the most sadistic serial killer we've seen in slasher movies possibly. And here he is like mopping up the water that he spilled from his laundry.
From just a brief time we met Damien, he seems like he has a great sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's kind of obviously it's a dark sense of humor, but you do see it while the movie itself is not comedic, there's like this sly wink. Like I feel like Damien Leone was getting a kick out of this whole movie because
he must have had a ball.
He must have had a blast.
That's probably why it's so long.
Right,
he didn't want to cut anything out because he loved every second of it.
Yeah, and I don't blame him because I think he's amusing himself, right? Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like because I was amused with it because I could tell that he was having a blast. And I think anytime a filmmaker is having a great time making a movie, you're going to have a great time. It carries over into the film. So
I mean, yeah, and we shouldn't say no comedy at all because I guess that sequence where Art's trying on the glasses and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, there's some art comedy. Yeah, I mean, art.
But he is a clown, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that was what was the one true holdover from between the Gore. There were two things that held over from the two first movies. Was the Gore and that Art, no matter how sadistic he was, always never forgot to be a clown.
Yeah, and
so that to me was always the best things to link those two movies together, which we'll get to possibly in a second. Here is there's extremely tonally different between 1 and 2, and except that those were the two things. There was tons of gore in both, and Art was always being a clown, even though as he was killing everybody.
Yeah, and now it's a strange movie in that you go from Terrifier, which is a very small, contained horror film with this character that you're kind of. I mean, I know Art was introduced in the previous movie, All Hallows Eve, but
I don't think that's really the. I mean, they may connect it somehow in the Art verse, whatever there's going to be later on.
But for most people, Terrifier was their like true introduction to Art as he is now.
Well, at least it's David Howard Thornton's. It was Mike
Yeah,
Gemelli
right.
played Art originally.
So you get, we're all familiar with this little closed-in horror movie where Art, does his thing, and there's some gore, and yes, it's very gory and everything. But Terrifier 2, just it's like, the whole rule of sequels is you got to do bigger and more, and they just blew it up to like 1,000%. Like they went from 0 to 90.
You want to know a good comparison? I think look at Terminator and Terminator 2, which is kind of funny because we joked. We said Terrifier 2 should be called T2 anyway.
Yeah.
And think about it, because Terminator, the first Terminator, if you look at it for what it was, is a B movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, but still, it was a B movie. The plot was very B movie-ish. There's some somewhat big sequences in there, but very, not like crazy like that you would get in the second one. The second one was a blockbuster now. So now you're almost doing the same thing where you take like a, Terrifier, which was like compared to the first Terminator, and now you go above and make like a blockbuster version of Terrifier, and you get Terrifier 2.
Yeah, so you're taking, as like that's a great comparison because you're taking like this character that everybody loved, but kind of maybe nobody knew they were going to love it until it came out. And now you take it, everybody loves it, and then you just like run with it, and now you create this entire mythos around this character that had none of that in the first movie. So it's a little, I'm not going to lie, it was a little jarring because in my mind I'm expecting, okay, it's going to be Terrifier, Art the Clown's still going to be, kind of the same as he was in the first movie, which he is, but he's a lot extra in this movie. There's a lot more, so you're getting a lot of information about this character dumped into your brain that you weren't maybe necessarily expecting. At least I wasn't expecting this whole mythos, the pale girl entity, which is kind of following him around, which we don't really know. We know hints. I mean, we gather that this is some kind of demonic entity. She's obviously helping Art the Clown. You don't get a lot of answers about why some people can see her and why some people don't. That's kind of left vague. And I'm hoping we'll get Terrifier 3. I think from all the rumors and comments I've read, Terrifier 3 is going to explain a lot of Terrifier 2. So this is kind of the Empire Strikes Back. This is the, we're getting the middle of the story. And so if you're a little frustrated that some things are left vague, I think when Terrifier 3 comes out, this movie might even be a freaking masterpiece when we look back on it because everything will make sense.
Yeah, and I will say a message to Damien Leone, which I don't think I need to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Please don't let Art the Clown be revealed to be some like emo kid that gets
that gets beat up by a marching band.
Yeah, and he decides he wants to be Art the Clown. I know, we know that is not going to happen. Wouldn't shock me if he put like a funny joke about that in there, though.
Oh my gosh!
But
yeah, so let's go through our goods and our bads. I'm gonna get the criticism out of the way because I think, like I said, I really like the movie. My criticisms of the movie were it was probably too long than it needed to be. Let's be honest. B, some of the stuff just I don't think was fully clear to me, and I'm saving my criticism for that because I think Terrifier 3 may clear a lot of this up. So I'm basing this only on what I got in this movie. There is a whole running line about maybe the Sienna's character is somehow fated to be Art the Clown's nemesis somehow. We're not really sure. There's clues dropped. There's whole things that we think there's some kind of destiny involved between these two. Never really quite clear what's going on there. Like I said, we don't really quite know what the pale little girl's story is.
Yeah, and we need to know more about Sienna's father, obviously.
Right, there's a whole thing with Sienna's father who passed away, but he kind of seemed to know that she was destined to fight Art somehow. There's a lot of
and remember,
questions.
and they kept calling him crazy.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unanswered questions here. That's my criticism, but it's a criticism with a caveat because I think that criticism may be addressed. And of course, when Damien Leone's making this movie, he probably already knows the story. So he feels free to kind of drop this where it is and kind of leave it as it is. even though the viewer may be a little confused about it. Now, obviously, it didn't hurt the movie at all. The movie was a huge hit. And I, again, like we said, we were thoroughly entertained by it. But that would be my only big criticisms was I wasn't quite sure. Some of the story elements didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, man, if a movie's 2 hours and 19 minutes, why didn't all of this just congeal and make sense to me?
Yeah.
There was plenty of time to do it.
Yeah, and I think a funny thing is the same thing we kind of criticized David Gordon Green about for Halloween Ends. We're not giving Damien Leone enough credit for this, because what does everyone really want to see out of the movie? Is art killing people like crazy and everything, and we don't want too much of a story.
I know.
But the funny thing is he put in just enough to get you to like, he may have done it so brilliantly, like by giving us everything we wanted in terms of the slashing and the gore and the art and all this stuff. And he still gave us a backstory that we want to find out about. So everyone that saw Terrifier 2 and wasn't appalled by it, which if you're appalled by it, then you were never meant to see this movie anyway.
No.
But like people like us that love this stuff and we want to see it, we cannot wait for Terrifier 3.
Yeah. And so that goes to my, if you're going to talk about what you did like about the movie, I don't think any Art the Clown fan could be disappointed by the amount of kills and the amount of art in this movie. I mean, I couldn't have written enough. I mean, I couldn't have written more art into this movie and more bloody, crazy, incredible kills than I could have. I would have loved, again, another one I really regret not seeing in the theater, because I bet people were going freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But you can, if you thought anything about this movie, it can't be the kills or that there's not enough Art the Clown in it.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot. What's weird, though, is, and I don't know if this is a criticism for me, but this is just the more of a thought. But the weirdness is, though, as much as there's art and everything else, there's a lot of, and this could be intentionally, too, because of what we just said, how they're trying to set up this how Sienna is going to be like Art's nemesis somehow. There's going to be something there. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe, because there was a lot of her story going on at the same time, and which may look like it was a little superfluous in there, but it's probably going to all add up when we see the final, series, wrapped up. Because I think he's probably got, knowing Damien, he's probably got the third one and possibly fourth planned, and would wrap it up. But and he's going to wrap it up.
This could very well be The Empire Strikes Back. We don't realize how brilliant it is until we see the third part.
Exactly.
It very well could be.
Now, one of the, and I don't know if, it's probably going to come off like a criticism, but I don't know if it's more of a criticism or more of a preference on my part. But that tonal difference we discussed earlier between the two films, I think what I loved so much about Terrifier was that there really was this kind of like, and it's like, it's not like I really like, I get scared at movies much anymore. It's not like I don't get scared. I get creeped out by sequences, but I don't really get scared of sequences. But with Terrified, when you're in an abandoned building already, that's creepy enough, right? So you had the setting creepy, and then you're trapped in there with a crazy killer, like with Art the Clown, and so I think I missed that element from it, that the confines of the first one.
Yeah, it's not as
this one showed a lot more. You felt like, okay, well, if I just get far enough, I can get at it safe. But there she was locked, they were locked in a building in the first one, essentially. This one, I feel like, there were cars, you were driving places. It's basically to put in a video game terms, the map was expanded. It's like, it's like, remember, how you have those Friday the 13th, we played the Friday the 13th, there's the small map versus the big map.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I felt like. It's like, it took some of the frightening elements away. Now, he did a good job about making sure the characters that he wanted to were in danger still found themselves in danger, because it seems like Art can, in this, they don't show you how he gets necessarily from place to place, other than a couple of scenes where you see him walking. But, I don't know if he learned to drive. I don't know if he, where he, he just manifests himself in places for all I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I think there's still like this little bit of a like, oh, I think I can escape if I just outdrive him or something, or right, I have a whole free reign now. I'm outside, kind of thing. So I don't. I mean, that's the only the thing that kind of like, I think, like you said, jarring before. I think it's like long, like, I don't know if that's, if that, it might be too strong for me, but it's just, I think that's the one reason where I think there was a big difference. Now, granted, that was not the movie he was trying to make again. Now, granted, he made Terrifier on a lower budget, small. He had to do that, and what he is here's that shows how brilliant that first one was. Here he had his constraints, probably not just for the characters in the movie, but the budget and the scope he could film it in, and he made it to his advantage. Here, now he did a Kickstarter. He had a big budget, went way over the goal that they had reached. So he had I mean, tons of money to make this, and so he went all for it and went all in.
Right. Yeah.
So in that way, there's no way you can't respect this film, and you can't give him like, you got to give him credit. Like, wow, he did something that, like, what director, even the greats of horror directing, what director has done a sequel like this that just is like becomes is almost at a blockbuster level of
it's
action.
The only word I can come up with is audacious. Like,
yeah.
This movie should have never been made this way. Like, if this was
right.
if this wasn't like an independent movie, this would have never would a studio have greenlit. Oh, you're going to make a 2.5 hour slasher? I don't think so. With no major stars. I mean, these are not.
Well, they will be. You remember,
will be.
Like, I think Lauren Lavera is going to be,
but they're not.
Huge,
I mean, they're not
point,
now.
yeah.
They're not like A-listers.
No,
like like I'm just thinking of It, the last big long horror movie I could think of that had just tons of A-listers. I mean, so it's just completely audacious. The for lack of a better word, the brass balls to make this movie. It's just ridiculous, and I love it for it. And if nothing else, I love this movie for that alone, the sheer audacity of it. One of the things, getting back to what you're talking about, the difference in tone, I think part of it to me was, and I'll have to say, Damien Leone did a great job balancing this. Is the first movie, you do have that mystery of art. You don't know where this guy came from. You don't know what he is. You don't know what his motivations are. In the second movie, that opens up a little bit. It's enough to be noticeable, so that anytime you strip away some mystery from a character, to me, the fear factor is lessened. This movie does that just a little bit, and I think that's what I noticed in terms of like fear factor of art. But on the other hand, he keeps enough of art mysterious that I don't think it like ruins the movie, like in the way like some other horror movie. Like my example would be Rob Zombie's Halloween, where they showed all of Michael's backstory and when he was a kid and all. I mean, that just was way too much information. It just ruined the character. Damien Leone does not do that in this. Art is still very much mysterious and vague. But again, you like Brian said, you do see him like doing laundry and stuff that you would have never in a million years dreamed about in Terrifier 1, which in some ways kind of lessens the character, but in other ways enriches him in other ways, because you see another dimension of this character. So take that for what you will. I think it's a noticeable change in tone. It wasn't a criticism from me for the movie, because I thought Damien Leone was restrained enough, at least in that aspect. I mean, he could have easily made art. Could have showed David Howard Thornton without makeup as this guy that had got possessed and become art. I mean, he could have done all that, and I think that would have really ruined the whole fear factor.
Right. Nothing against David Howard Thornton, who is an awesome dude, but we don't want to see your face.
No, that's right. Yeah, I don't want to know.
We want
that
you
much
as art.
about art.
We'll talk. We chat with him on through Instagram all the time. So we see him normally, and we've talked to him at the con. So it's like we see his face enough.
Yeah, we don't.
But when he's art, we want him as art.
Art.
I don't want like when they showed Robert Englund back before he was burnt, like in Nightmare on Elm Street. Same thing. It's like we know what you look like. We know it, but we don't need to see that part of the story.
And if we're kind of jumping all over the place, I think it's because this movie is really hard to pin down. I'm going to have to watch it probably multiple more times before I really wrap my head around it. I watched.
I've watched it twice, and I found stuff the second time I caught that I didn't catch the first time.
Yeah.
Because again, remember this for me, and I've said this before. Whenever I watch a movie that I'm super excited about, whether I like it or don't like it, it's hard sometimes that first viewing because I have this adrenaline rush of excitement for it. So it's almost like I sometimes even miss a little things here and there.
Right.
So usually, like if I even if I hate it, like Halloween Ends, we know it wasn't exactly popular on our show here, but I rewatched it again anyway before the roundtable, because I said, okay, well, let me just watch it again now without the disappointment factor and the excitement factor that I had for it. And I was able to look at it and, I mean, granted, it didn't get much better, but I mean, there was a couple of things that at least I was like, okay, well, I'm ready for it now. So at least I'm not sitting there stewing for 20 minutes because they when I realized Michael's not in it for the first 40 minutes. Yeah. It's like now
Now you can
so this one,
focus. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the second time I watched this one, I went in with like, knowing, okay, the excitement is worn off. I know what's going to happen now. I just want to enjoy it, see what it is like, and try and like look at things. And I caught more stuff because I was like, I was so like, I wasn't thinking of like, oh, how does this compare to part one? That, like I want this to happen now. And I want, I just.
And you're not expecting things that aren't going to happen.
Right. There's no longer the any kind of expectations already. And that's I mean, it kind of stinks for me at some level because if that's the way I go into every, movie like that, there's always like that chance I'm going to, and it's not when I say miss something. It's not like I miss a plot point. I miss like a line or two or something
well,
in there
there's
maybe
things
that
in here
register.
like there's a I was reading, I only found this out after the fact. There's like a really brief clip of some little girl that died or went missing.
Oh yeah.
In his
that's who I thought that little girl was eventually, but
so there's things like that you might catch on a second viewing and that's why I really want to watch this one again because
well, and I caught something that it was like, and actually it was funny as I caught it today. I was like, it was right after I had right after that I had read the article after I'd watched it again, and they were saying how something how like how Art like had his brains come out in the original the movie, and then in the beginning you see him put back the whole thing. Well, and they said how like I think there was a line the mother said or something how how the father had went like crazy and his brain was all screwed up or something like that, and someone made that kind of comparison like like, oh, maybe he like that's how he always stays alive, grabs people's brains no matter how deranged. Who knows? It's like. Yeah. Maybe you'll find out that he was, who knows where Art the Clown actually came from. Did he come from the pages of the sketchbook even? We don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some kind of connection because he thought of all these things, the father, wrote them all down, had this whole thing, and then somehow his brain was, that's why.
Did you notice,
too? I'm like spitballing here, but,
Did you notice, too, that Art's costume is the reverse of the little pale girl's costume? Like his costumes or Art's costume, the white side is on the right and the black side is on the left. But the pale girl,
I don't think I caught that.
The black side is on the right and the white side. It's almost like she's a mirror image of him somehow, or some kind of like yin and yang thing. So I'm sure that has some kind of symbolism to it. So I don't know. Things like that is what you're going to pick up on a second viewing. Which, by the way, I will say another thing about the pale girl. That was quite a bold choice to introduce another character to, I won't say distract from Art, but you're introducing a whole nother like villain, quote unquote, into this movie. That could have been a big risk to take away, like what we saw in Halloween Ends. Same thing. You introduce Corey, and all of a sudden now you're like, well, who the heck is this guy? It could have been the same thing here, but I think she does such a great job, and she's so freaking super creepy that somehow it all works, and I can't wait to see what the whole mythology turns out to be with her. Because there are some scenes in here with her that I think are among the most creepy I've seen in a movie this year.
Yeah.
Period. And you probably know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an interesting movie. I've never seen a slasher like this. It's hard to describe. I almost have no words for it. It's just
it's hard. I mean, and real quick, just to summarize, like basically all that the new characters. I mean, all the characters in the first one were really good. The second one, of course, had to step it up, and of course, you got some great characters. With Lauren Rivera, Sienna, Elliot Fulham as Jonathan, who was like he's like the perfect kid. Like that age. Like I think he nailed that kind of
Oh
thing
yeah,
where it's
he was really.
He would
good.
go from like being a little like nervous and scared, but then he wants to be Art the Clown. So it's weird. He's like a typical kid, and he's so well done, such a well done like role of that.
I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, and he's got his own podcast too. I think he does music and stuff. He's actually really talented. And he liked one of our tweets. Actually, I made a joke about a picture he did, and he liked it and laughed at it. Yeah, no. So that's the thing. It's like on top of all this, like this could have been terrible. All the work that Damien Leone put in, if the casting was off.
Yeah.
But instead he got a cast that like was perfect for what they needed to do, and they were so good. And it's like, you had that like, I mean, the friends were like such typical high school friends kind of thing, and the one I still think like they don't get Casey Hartnett doesn't get enough credit for this movie. I thought she was like really good in her. She was like the Annie Brackett to me of the Halloween, except not as like snotty. Like Annie Brackett had a little snot to her, but like Annie Brackett was like the one that like, kind of like, the brunette kind of was like off to the kind of like the kind of got the first really kill kind of thing. So it was like, I don't know. I just think it was kind of like the whole. Everything worked in terms of the characters blending together and their performances. I thought that was pretty cool. And by the way, did you see? I don't know. By the time this releases, it may be too late. But over this weekend, the Terrifier shop is actually selling the cereal. The commercial.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or that kid that was eating it. I guess.
Oh my god, that jingle got stuck in my head forever.
Oh my god, yeah. At the Clown Cafe, yeah.
Yeah, the Clown Cafe song will get stuck in your head.
And that scene went on really long. That was the first scene where I realized I'm like, there could have been some shorter cuts in the movie. And it was actually funny. Julie said, "Well, think of how annoyed and disturbed it got you." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah," because that was probably the intention. They probably wanted you to play that over and over again. And also remember, there's the tag at the end where that song plays.
Yeah,
and I think Damien Leone intentionally did that. He wanted you to have that song memorized forever.
Oh, I think it's another example of his sense of humor. I think he got a kick out of that. And of course, I'm speaking for him. I don't know that for sure, but to me, it seems like that's something he would do. And ultimately, the highest praise I can give this movie is this is a movie absolutely 100% made for the fans. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that everything in this movie was put there to make the fans of the first movie happy.
And it was and it was a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It was or Indiegogo. Sorry, it was Indiegogo, and it was kind of fan funded. So you know what, he gave his thank you back was, I'm going to give the fans everything they want and more, and that's what he did.
That's what he did. So that's the highest praise I can give it. So yeah, guys, definitely go check this one out. I guarantee you have not seen a slasher like this ever. It's crazy. It's crazy. I thought it. I keep going back to it because that was I remember when it came out, Chapter 1. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, 2.5 hour horror movie! Like, I don't even understand how that even exists. Like, that's crazy."
Meanwhile, people forget The Shining. Wasn't The Shining like 2 hours?
Yeah. There's been movies, but they're few and far between that you make a horror movie that long. So yeah, I remember when that came out, and then it went gangbusters. Like, everybody loved it. So I wonder if this will somehow usher in a new era of like these epic horror movies. I hope it does. I love them, but we'll see.
Imagine we get a Friday the 13th. It's
my god,
3 hours and 15 minutes long.
It's crazy.
Like it's like Titanic, Like.
All right, Brian. So what did you have for your beer pairing tonight?
So I found one called Clown Hammer.
Very apt.
It's from Holtzlager Brewing Company out of Woodstock, Illinois. It's 7.6%, and here's the description. Little off from what we just said, but it says, "We don't like clowns, and probably neither do you, which is why we now have Clown Hammer IPA on tap. This IPA is brewed with Sriracha Ace, Cascade, Citra, Mosaic, and Chinook hops. This carousel of hop aroma and flavors will hammer any clown off his feet. We're not clowning around here."
What hops did they not put in it? Maybe that would have been easier.
I know. I think they also need to get a little bit. They should have had someone proofread that. There's too many. We're not clowning around here at the end. There's a little. Like, we get it. It was a clown beer. One step too many. I think one of them a pun.
Yeah, we just left off that last one.
Yeah,
you know what?
They
you know
didn't
what?
need to do that.
They probably needed a little more editing. It's probably just the description probably went on just a tad too long. So maybe it's
right.
It's,
see, there we go. That maybe it is the perfect beer pair.
Oh well. Sad news. We're out of fan topic food questions.
Yeah.
I was gonna come up with some. Like I could come up with some.
Yeah, I was gonna think if we don't get any soon, what we could do is maybe we'll do like what To Be Trap is. We'll alternate. Like I'll ask you one week, you ask me one another week.
Yeah, I think we could do. Because I was thinking of stuff like I was thinking more off topic because we talk a lot about horse. But I was thinking like there's a lot of things I'd love to talk about. Like what was your favorite album in the '90s? Or anything like that. Like what is some weird thing that you really like that somebody might not ever realize that you. Or like, what was your guilty pleasure? This TV show or movie? There's all kinds of things we could ask. So, if you guys come up with any questions, please send them in to civilwarpodcast@gmail.com. We will read them on the air and answer them as best we can. And look for some more interviews coming up soon with some really cool guests that I am really excited for. And we will see you back here soon. Getting close to that Thanksgiving holiday, so we got to come up with I know we've threatened to do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We may have to do that this year.
This might be the year.
This might be the year.
We still owe poor Cody her Velocipaster.
Yeah, that's been years in the making.
We haven't done a commentary track in a long time.
Yeah,
we haven't done anything like those things, like a tweet along. Well, I did go along with Jeff Whitmire's Anna and the Apocalypse. I should have mentioned that in the first trap. Actually, I did that tweet along with him, and that was really fun watching that because I love watching that movie. I can watch it anytime, so it was really fun because it was a cut that a lot of people may not have seen. It was the UK cut with the extra song and extra sequences. So it was about 20 minutes longer, I think. And it's funny, if you look at it on Shudder, it says 97 minutes, which would match up to the regular version. But when you start to hit play, it jumps up to 1 hour and 47 minutes. So it's interesting. So it's longer than that. So it's a little longer. And it's got one extra song that's actually pretty good, and then it's got a couple extra sequences that are extended. But again, what was so fun about that, I know this should have been the first trap again, but we'll finish this off real quick. What was great was that, it was like, Jeff and I had both seen this movie, a ton of times. And some of the people in the tweet had seen it, but there were some new people that had never seen it. And watching them start enjoy it and have so much fun discovering it was like one of the coolest moments. It's like, because whenever you see you ever get that moment, you're like, oh, you got to see this, and you take a friend, you make them watch a movie with you, and then you see that they're gonna love it, and then they love it. It was kind of like that, but with 20 new people.
That's cool.
That started to like it. So so that was good. So props again to Jeff Whitmire. Sorry, this is at the end of the show and not the first. The beginning of the show, but he did a great job of coordinating that. And
what we need to do is also now we got the YouTube channel going, we got some videos up there. Is we need to do either a live show or we just record a show so you guys can see us record. Yeah,
there's got to be. Yeah, we got to get into. We got to look at. I mean, I was thinking of kind of looking around and trying to grab some, see what else, because I want to buy that script writing program as kind of a side project we want to do, and then I eventually want that Roadcaster thing for us, and it's like just a couple of things I want to get, and I'm like, maybe we should really kind of over that break we have, and we take in the winter holiday, really brainstorm up some cool stuff like that, because I know we did in the beginning, we were kind of all over the place. We do a commentary track, we do this, we do that, but we kind of want to get back to doing some extra special stuff, and we're of course in the early stages of trying to plan another epic horror con visit for March with this time we may even have your brother.
Oh my gosh, I hope we can make that happen. That would be
which would make it even more epic, because as funny as Tim is, his brother is it's funny. Tim goes by the unfunny.
I'm the
brother,
unfunny one.
And so think of that right there, how funny Tim is, and he goes by the unfunny brother. So you're in for a treat of stories.
We need to get Kevin back on the show for sure.
Yeah, I know he hasn't been on in a while. Yeah, we need to get him
in on a round table even if we had to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's not, and the reason he hasn't been on the show much is he's not really into horror movies, but But he's
Well,
hilarious.
plus he's also a new father.
Yeah, he's a new father. But
He might have had a busy year.
but he's still hilarious, so we
Yeah.
could probably find something for him to watch. And
Yeah, I almost want to make him watch a movie that he would never watch in a million years and get his reaction
like
on
Terrifier 2.
that. Exactly, like that's like something like that level. Maybe not that so hard,
Yeah.
but I think he'd watch Barbarian, like something like that. I wonder if he,
Yeah,
even though we
I
did
don't
that
know.
already, but we did that. But something along that
Yeah.
lines, like that kind of a what the F
Yeah, like he
kind
would
of
like
movie.
freak out because he's not used to that kind of level. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, like we need to pick something
But yeah,
like
if
that.
you guys
right?
send us any ideas, because we got season 7's coming up fast, because we do our
Yeah.
seasons by year. So January is going to be season 7, and whatever you guys think of, if you want to see like some video live episode recordings, or some video episode recordings, or some commentaries, or
If you want
tweet
more
alongs,
roundtables, even. I mean, we
roundtables,
know we want to do more roundtables, and that's hopefully everyone likes that, because for us it's really fun.
I
and we
see
love
now
it.
why
I mean,
Mike and EB do the listener surveys, because it would be nice to know what you guys
yeah,
like and
I wish.
don't like.
I just feel like I don't know if we don't know, like nobody, like it's not like we have a thing where people can just subscribe and we have emails to send out surveys, because we know we have tons of listeners. We just don't. They don't. There's only some that interact, so it's like we only know that
so
much.
anything like if you hate something about the show, I mean, I don't get my feelings hurt. Like if you don't like something about the show, and enough people say, "Hey, we don't like this segment," or "We don't like this," or you could
Watch it be that guy Brian's annoying voice.
Yeah.
We just want to hear Tim
Can you
speak.
just make
And then I
Tim
just get
Rose?
and I just get shifted to like executive producer, where I just like
I
come
just
up with-
bring
I
you in
get
for the off-topic question at the end.
yeah, and I just get the talent or something. But,
You become the secretary. You just you're the
yeah,
PR guy.
the behind the scenes.
Shout out to all our PR folks. They're awesome.
Oh my god, yeah. We we need to almost do like our Thanksgiving episode, just when we do our like little thanks to people. We need to like make sure we list them. They'll be all embarrassed because it's so funny. We were always like thanking them, and they get so like they're like, really? Oh no.
The PR
really,
people are like real, like they're real secretive too. Like they like to stay in. They like to stay behind the scenes and coordinate. They don't want the recognition. They don't want the.
Well, I will say though, it makes me feel good. I don't know if they realize they're doing this, but when they tell us stuff like, "Oh, we love working with you guys," or we do that, and I'm like, I'm wondering, if we're doing, are they just saying that, or are we doing something different? But I mean, the only thing I could think of that, like I just, generally I'm you wouldn't think so. I'm from New York, but generally I'm a very polite, professional type of person. I like to like. When I send emails out to either ask someone to come on the show or respond to I always just try and make it very professional sounding and cordial and friendly, and like, so it gives a taste of what we're like. And I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but when they say stuff like to us like that, like, "Oh, we love dealing with you," or "You guys are you guys are one of my favorites to deal with," that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like we're doing something
Well,
right.
I think being consistent and being reliable are huge. So
Yeah.
I think if you're and I think we strive to do that. I think we say we're going to set up an interview, we set up an interview. I mean, sometimes we have to shuffle around schedules and stuff, but typically we don't flake out on interviews. If we say we're doing an interview, we do it. We try to respond promptly with emails. I think and over time we've done over 100 interviews at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's way more than I ever thought.
Yeah, so
like I remember, like I think like after our first one, and I was just like, I'm like, wow, it'd be kind of cool if we get a couple more of these.
We might get one a year.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from like so many different like facets of like horror and gaming and different levels and people I never thought in a million years we'd be talking to on but. And we found a way.
Yeah,
so.
it's definitely one of the most fun perks of the podcast is getting to do interviews.
Yeah.
I'm glad we finally hit a level where we're almost to the point where we got so many interviews we can't even do them all. At some level, like
it's like we're pushing it. Like there's one I'm trying to schedule for a movie I'm dying to talk to the guys about, and we know them already, and it's like the scheduling is up, but they're traveling the film circuits in different countries too, so that makes things a little difficult. So that's how good this movie is doing. And so we're trying to schedule something, and then it was like the time zone is hard, and it cuts into Tim's regular schedule. So it's like we're really trying to get that one scheduled down, though we need to, I think, because especially once you see that movie, Tim, you're gonna be dying to talk.
Yeah,
about.
but hopefully you guys like the interviews, because those are really starting to pick up again. I know we had a little bit of a lull there, but I think now that I don't know what the schedules are for like film festivals and stuff, but you can tell when things start picking up, because we start getting hammered with interview requests. So
yeah, I think October obviously is part of it. October, November, they seem to have like just like there's two big film festivals I think around in October and September time period. Like I think it was a Beyond Fest is around there. That Brooklyn one is there. Shudder comes out with a bunch of stuff around that time of year. So a lot of stuff just keeps coming at that point, I think. Then there's going to be that lull in January, February as normal, and then I think kicks up. But you remember, horror is more of like a fall, wintry kind of time period for it to come out. You don't get many, it's rare you'll get a summer horror blockbuster. I mean, it happens. I mean, watch Terrifier 2 come out like 4th of July, 2024. It's like Terrifier 3.
I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back
Thank you.
here next week in some form or fashion. I don't know if we're going to have a full episode or if we're going to just load you up with interviews. We haven't quite figured it out yet. Depends on what we get recorded. But
yes.
At any rate, you will get some content next week, and we'll see.
Yes, you will we'll never leave you without like any kind of after it's happened some unusual circumstances, but we haven't been able to release an episode. If you look back, most likely it was there were 2 the week before or 2 the week after.
Yeah.
So we get you content.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.